Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Standing Policy Committee on Community Services for Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. I am City Councillor Vivian Santos and the chairperson for today's meeting, together with my council colleague, Councillor Ross Eady of the Minarski Ward. We also have members of the public service here in delegation, as well as in the gallery, and our senior committee clerk, Mr. Peter Prinsloo. Welcome back. Want to also acknowledge that we are meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional homeland of the Red River Métis that we have the privilege of living on. I want to also acknowledge our ancestral territory lands and that our water comes from Shoal Lake number 40 in Treaty number 3, together in our neighbors in Treaty number 5, where our hydroelectricity comes from. I did get a message that Councillor Wyatt is not available. Councillor Eady, would you move a motion, please?
I move a motion to allow Councillor Wyatt personal business for today.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's carried. Also,
minutes of
yes.
Of the September
September
10th.
Mm-hmm.
Minutes, Madam Chairperson.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously.
And Madam Speaker, I
Yes.
just wanted to acknowledge, although I'm still a substantial number of months away, today's International Seniors Day.
Thank
I just thought I'd acknowledge it, seeing as how I will be one next year.
Okay, thank you. You don't look a day over 40, so thank you for that. All right, we'll move on to delegations. Okay, excellent. We'll move on to delegations. First up, we have Tanya Christensen and Dominic Lloyd, Acting Director, Winnipeg Arts Council, to be heard with respect of the Winnipeg Arts Council 2025 Corporate Plan. Welcome, good morning. Thank you.
Thanks for seeing us this morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been here in person to present our plan, but happy to be here. Arts continue to recover, but it's an ongoing process. Large and small organizations continue to face challenges. We're just coming off a very successful Nuit Blanche weekend, in which Winnipeg Arts Council was a key player. We can also appreciate the challenges facing the city, but arts are important economic and social drivers. Looking forward to 2025 on, and that's why we're here today to present our corporate plan.
Which is something that we do every year. Thanks, Tanya. And good morning. Congratulations on your appointment to this chair as well. I don't think we've seen you since we've been at this committee since you took it over. Happy to be here. Every year, the Winnipeg Arts Council comes and presents our corporate plan, which is our roadmap for the next year. It comes out of our strategic planning process. And what we've done really is looked at it through the framework of our Winnipeg. And so everything that we have here is really designed to not only reinforce the plans of the Winnipeg Arts Council, but to reinforce the goals and objectives and policies of the city of Winnipeg as well. And it lays out the realities of what we are doing. It also highlights some of what's going on in some other cities. But really what I think is probably the easiest thing to do is to just run you through it really quickly. There are three focus areas primarily for the Winnipeg Arts Council. Those are our grants and programs, public art, and museums. So under the heading of grants and programs, we will continue to serve artists and arts organizations over the course of 2025. Everything from the most emerging artists to the biggest institutions of the city. Those are all the purview of the Winnipeg Arts Council, and it's our job to make sure that they are supported from the city and that they are able to make the contribution to the artistic and the social and economic life of our city. Public art continues to be a challenge with the budget realities that we are facing. However, I am happy to say that the city administration and our colleagues in public art at the Winnipeg Arts Council have been working together on the plan that was directed by City Council back in March to develop a new funding model for public art. So hopefully we will be seeing some of that come through the process and end up at council before before too long. And in terms of museums, they are very much status quo in terms of the purview of the Winnipeg Arts Council. We have 5 museums for whom we are delegated by the city to provide funding, and those recipients and the amounts are designated by the city of Winnipeg. So as long as y'all want us to keep doing that, we will. And that's essentially it. We are looking forward to doing some new things in the coming year. We are going to be introducing a youth poet laureate to work alongside the senior poet laureate. We will continue to work on a program that we've developed called the Indigenous Arts Leaders Fellowship, which provides training and experience to members of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities to work in arts administration, where there is a need for that kind of skill set and knowledge throughout the community. As I say, in public art, we will continue to work on that. We will continue to be a key player in Nuit Blanche. All of the one, I don't know if you were out on the weekend, but the globes and the soundtrack that was there, as well as all of the other installations, are all supported by the Winnipeg Arts Council with the investment that we received from the city of Winnipeg. So we'll continue to do that. And as I say, museums will be status quo. The corporate plan always does include a measure of performance from the previous year. And, we have had a pretty good year, I think. This is 2024 that we are looking at, particularly something that we're proud of that has been going on and still continues to go on is an initiative called City of Song, which has been celebrating Winnipeg's 150th birthday by encouraging people to sing together. And we are now up to, I think it said 65 in our corporate plan. It's actually getting closer to 75 now. Different events and programs throughout the city, having people sing together in choral settings, in movie settings, in, just on the street, wherever it can be. It's been a real fun way to get Winnipeggers to celebrate with each other and sing, because everybody can, whether you believe it or not. And that's really essentially it. We want to let you know and reassure you that we continue to work with the resources that we have. We appreciate the support of the city of Winnipeg. Of course, we can't do it without you, but our job is to do it for you. So I think it's a pretty symbiotic relationship that we have. We are looking forward to 2025 and to moving onward and upward, and always thinking about a few steps ahead and how we will continue to do the work that we do years down the road. So I don't know if you have any questions, but that's really the extent of what we're planning in the next year or so.
Mr. Eady, go ahead.
Thank you. This is my 14th presentation. Thank you. I've been on this committee since I was first elected in 2010.
That's when I started as well, Councillor. So we've been spending a lot of time here together.
Right on. Yeah. Back, those were some good days back in my first term for the Arts Council. Winnipeg, the City of Art, or whatever it was.
The cultural capital of Canada.
Anyway, you mentioned, just when you mentioned globes, did you help that installation over at Market Square with those, the music and the balls everywhere?
Yeah, that was presented by the Winnipeg Arts Council, that specific exhibition. Yeah, and that was done as part of the public art program outside of the auspice of Nuit Blanche. It's sort of a partnership that we have to support them that way.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I was out. I can sing, but I can't sing. But I was out karaokeing across the street, and we stepped out for a smoke, and we're hearing this, isn't it? Councillor Schreier, I go right over there. Wow, that's really neat. Anyway, so I have a number of questions. I've never really asked this question before, but so I know the arts have been struggling here through COVID and whatever, but even prior to that, I mean, city funding's basically been flat. Do you work with the various arts entities with the province? Because I think they have some different music things, and then they also have Do they not have an arts?
There's a provincial arts council as well, that is a sort of a counterpart to what we do. And yes, we definitely, I mean, we'll be meeting them later this week as well. So we do work with them on a regular basis, but certainly there is there is a formula, and it's the same across Canada, and it's much of the same as in many other areas, but there's certainly a municipal, provincial, and federal support of the arts is common across Canada. So we're proud to be that entity here in Winnipeg.
Oh, you're, okay. So many of the grant recipients will also get a portion from the Manitoba government and that sort of stuff.
Certainly the organizations, yes.
Do they have specific grants for artists themselves too?
Different funders have different programs, and so there's sort of there are some clients that we all have in common, and then each of us has different things that we do that are not served by our provincial or federal counterparts.
Not to duplicate, right? So just
Yeah.
let you know. Okay. That sounds good. Remind me, what was the proposal that you submitted to the city for this is the second year of that 4-year budget. What was the proposal? You were looking for kind of new funding streams to help?
Well, we're working within the 4-year budget now, so 24, 25, 26, and 27 are as confirmed as they can be, I suppose, and that's the framework that we're working in. We're certainly hoping to find a new avenue to fund public art, but in terms of the grants and programs and operations of the city, of the Winnipeg Arts Council, we're working on the sort of status quo over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's our hope that we'll be able to increase that support from the city. And as Tanya said right off the top, we realize there's a lot of different issues that the city is facing, but certainly, in comparison to other cities with whom we work and who use the same model as Winnipeg, we would like to catch up to them a little bit in terms of the investment in the arts.
Right, you were saying there's a comparison with other cities in this year's report, right? So
Yeah, it's right in the introduction.
So just you looked at Calgary?
Calgary is the one that really stands out. Over the last 10 years, their budget has increased 264% from the city. It's gone from 5.5 million to 14.5 million in the last 10 years.
That includes directly funding public art as well, or is that just funding their?
That's the grants and programs and operations. That's not public art. Yeah, so when you pick them out of the air, they are definitely they're the one to whom everybody else aspires. But just to give you the other sort of comparative numbers, increases over the same period, which is the last 10 years, 46% in Toronto, 53% in Edmonton, 69% in Montreal. And I think 14% in Winnipeg.
So the premise behind that was there's a lot of that increase happen because they're putting money into recovery, and we know that musicians, they found innovative ways, but there's a lot of money not made.
Yeah, nobody sets out to be an artist to get rich. I don't think, for sure, Counselor. But those increases are really just the sort of they're planned. It's sort of a regular and sustained increase to reflect the irregular and sustained increase of everything else that's going on, and so those cities have been able to budget for it.
Dealing with inflationary factors.
For sure, yeah.
Artists who paint and stuff, that's gone up and everything's going crazy up in price, right? So they're trying to keep up with that kind of stuff. So a grant grant that used to be applied for 5,000 would be probably about $6,000 now or something like that.
Whether it's increases to existing programs or the development of new programs, it allows them to grow.
Okay, thank you. And I just love the work you do, so.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good question, Councillor Eby. Thank you. All right.
You should. So it's like midnight, we were walking through. And anyway, it was really cool, that installation. Are you keeping it there?
It actually, that came from Montreal.
Oh, good.
So the globes themselves came from Montreal, but the soundtrack that was apparently what drew you over was created by a Winnipeg artist named Anna Binta Diallo. And so we were able to put them together, put the two artists, the Montreal artists who created the physical structure with the Winnipeg artists who did the animations and the soundtrack.
Well, there was animations there too? Okay. Okay, great, thanks.
Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Go right into the reports.
Yep. No.
You're good. Okay.
I didn't listen to you.
All right, we'll move on to reports then. First one, Winnipeg Arts Council 2025 corporate plan. Obviously, we heard from the presentation. I don't have any comments or concerns about it.
I'll move it. We're receiving this as information for the Arts Council's upcoming and last year, so.
Correct. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that's carried. Items number 2, 3, and 4, which are all Winnipeg Police Board. I have reached out to Shauna Curtin, and unfortunately she's not available to present. It is hopefully with the support of Councillor Eby.
There's, what is there, 3 reports here?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Can I move all 3 of them?
Yes.
Just, okay, so I'll move that we have Ms. Curtin come and present on these reports at our next community services.
Correct. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that's carried. On to item number 5, verbal report of the East of the Red Recplex. Hello, Mr. Patton. We have Jeff Patton here from Assets Management. Is that the right title?
That's correct, Councillor, yes, thank you very
In
much.
there. I'm gonna-
There, very good, so, yes, thanks, providing our verbal update for October 1st on the progress on the East of the Red Recplex project. So, project work is ongoing. We've completed a site survey this summer. In the summer as well, we had a public engagement event on June 25th. Feedback was in general support of what's being envisioned. Design is continuing. We should expect our schematical design from our consultant in the coming this week or next. And then we are moving into the preliminary design ready for 2025. So that's where we'll be working on for the next little while. This fall, this quarter, October, November, December, another public open house information session is being planned. And we'll give more information on project status and the preliminary design concepts to the public. One item that's been discussed is site signage. So site signage is ongoing. It's been approved. The wording has been approved from the province. So just to recap, we have to get the provincial approval because of the funding source for this. So we're in the process of getting that design constructed. I just want to raise one flag for the committee, just that the committee directed a size of sign for us to place on the site of 12 feet by 16 feet. So this is quite large. So we're looking at the design of this and the supporting structure. The winds this weekend, in terms of to make sure that the sign can be safe and standing. It's just a lot larger than the standard signs that we've been putting up on our ISA projects, which are typically 4 feet by 6.5 feet. So just want to flag that for the committee, but we're working toward committee's direction and to place that sign on site. And that is update. So we're proceeding along our original schedule that we provided to the committee for our report in mid next year to confirm the class 3 update cost for the facility. Yep, we'll complete the preliminary design and present a class 3. I'm open for any questions.
Do you happen to know the estimated cost at this point? Are we looking in like 50 million, 98 million? What are we looking at here?
But the entire complex, I believe, was in the $80 million range. I'm sorry, I don't have that in my, just take a look at my notes.
That's from like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Well, we just presented that feasibility study a while ago, and that was so that was just last year, right?
Was
So
it? Oh, okay.
so that was for 92,000 square foot facility. I'm sorry, I seem to recall, oh, sorry, there we go. The class 5 was 89.192 million, assuming construction started in 2026. So that's what we presented in 2023.
What's the plus minus on class 5 again?
Class 5 is minus 50 plus 100%.
100, so
Correct.
more like 160.
Okay.
A question I was interested in, I heard that the pool at Southwest is basically not moving ahead, but I heard there was I think it was a class 3 estimate, 90 million just for the pool.
I'd have to look back at the recreation strategy. So a pool is part of the long-term strategy at the South Winnipeg Recreation Campus. It's not in the first phase of that work. So I'd have to refer to the recreation strategy. Council, I don't have that number in the top of my mind, but around 90 million seems like a reasonable number for an aquatics facility, depending on scope.
Public that's listening, the east of the red plex, its intention is to have a pool, but there'd be there is a pool now, maybe not too far away, that's at its end of life. So really, the pool part of this east of the red plex is a replacement of an indoor pool. Is that right?
That is, Councillor, I'm not familiar on
It
the
is.
feasibility. So I'll let you. I'll
I just
defer
wanted
to
to
you on
put
that.
it-
Sorry, I'm the construction guy, so I want to build things. So, but I can confirm that for you. But yeah, but certainly the aquatics facility will be the first new aquatics facility the city's built in quite a long time that's included in scope. So yeah.
Anyway, I know it is replacing an indoor pool that's near the end of its life. So, okay, just wanted the public to know the difference between Southwest and
Yeah, so
basically a transport.
to our original budget, or we basically indicated that we come forward mid next year with a class 3 estimate, and then there would be further discussions with other levels of government for funding opportunities. for
Mid-year,
this.
right? Mid-year?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, I'm just looking here at the list. It says April 2025. I believe you're coming with another, there's January 2025 and April 2025. And July 2025. On one of those dates, you're gonna be able to come forward with a class 3 estimate.
Yeah, correct, Counselor. So the current schedule, we're still working toward that design. Current schedule is for the Q2. So definitely in kind of that July, hopefully is the plan, so that we can confirm the cost estimate. But design work is ongoing at this point. So we'll confirm our schedule and feature probably at the next verbal update for sure as we progress.
And then with the ISEP funding, I believe this is tied to, right?
No, there's no ISIP funding in this
Okay.
project. There's the funding of $2 million for this phase of the work is from the province of Manitoba and the strategic infrastructure basket.
Okay. Right. And the money that we had set aside, that's city funding, right? The money that's in the book over 2026 and 2027,
Yes.
that's city funding?
That's city funding, correct?
Okay, and right now that is currently funded through debt?
Yes, as I recall, it's debt financing. Yep.
Thank you.
All the verbal reports information, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Councillor Edie. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. On to verbal report, item number 6, verbal report, Green Space Master Plan update. We have 2 people, Shawna Protsiak and Stephanie Whitehouse. Thank you. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Okay, so this is our first time presenting the project at the Standing Policy Committee. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on what the project we're presenting is and an update on it. So basically in 2022, a capital budget was approved for 700,000. And this was for the creation of a master green space and natural corridors plan bylaw and biodiversity policy. So this budget came out of some clauses from our Winnipeg 2025 and Complete Communities, both that were approved in May of 2022. So both of them had clauses about creating a master green space and natural corridor plan bylaw that enables conservation, management, restoration, and enhancement of inherent value and ecological functioning of parks, waterways, natural areas, and systems year-round to support the environment, advance climate change adaptation and mitigation, and to increase quantity of such lands. So also part of the Complete Communities clause was to create a biodiversity policy. So that would create an ecological network that's healthy, connected, and integrated with a built environment and life on land. And this policy should be rooted in Indigenous knowledge of land, community, and ecology. Third item is to create a corridor plan to protect and enhance Winnipeg's forests, green spaces, natural environment, and natural areas corridors, including connecting Winnipeg's riverbank corridors. Another item that happened is council approved the signing on to the Montreal Pledge, and this happened in 2023. So this pledge is for action with regards to biodiversity, and some of these actions include conserving existing natural environments through protected areas, utilizing ecosystem-based approaches, increasing the amount of green and blue spaces, and increasing equity. So that is part of the history, and work to date that occurred is we had project scoping with a consultant and a core working group. This was also part of the funding agreement for this project, is to scope the project. It's very broad. There's many different, it's a huge project when we're thinking citywide and green spaces and ecosystems. So we spent about a year scoping the project. We had our core working group included internal as well as external members of the community and some very strong advocates into the natural environment. And as part of the scoping exercise, we came up with a preliminary vision, principles, goals, and objectives. We did some stakeholder interviews to see what they felt was important in this, and some policy context. What is the existing policies that we have? We have many policies that touches on green space and natural corridors. So how do we kind of integrate them all into something that's everyone is on the same page with, as well as a jurisdictional scan. What have other cities done? And there's many green space plans throughout the country. So it's a good time to be doing this where we can learn from others. Another item that happened is we developed a co-development team with Indigenous partners. And this was formed in early summer 2024, where Indigenous governments and organizations were invited by Mayor Gillingham to join the city in co-developing the Green Space Plan and biodiversity policy. So just a brief word about co-development. That's when Indigenous and non-Indigenous governments work together to co-create laws, policies, or plans in areas of common concern. And this co-development process is facilitated by a third party, which is the Center for Indigenous Environmental Resources. And this is based on their collaborative leadership initiatives that they've been working on. In the summer, we put out a request for proposal for consultant work. And this was issued and awarded just recently, a couple weeks ago. And the high-level deliverables as part of this request for proposal include research and the creation of the state of the landscape report. So what do we have currently in the city? What are our gaps? And creation of a green space and natural corridors plan bylaw, as well as the creation of a biodiversity policy and the creation of a strategic implementation plan. So how do we propose to implement this plan and policy, and what resources do we need to achieve this? All of these phases will include engagement. The scope and details of the engagement are still to be worked out with the consultant, but the goal is to be centering equity as per the most recent Engage Winnipeg policy that was adopted by council. As per the RFP, we're requesting that engagement be focused on engaging with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit knowledge carriers and organizations, equity groups, governments, major landowners, and including the land development industry and other experts and advocacy groups that focus on green space and biodiversity. So for timeline and next steps, we expect the plan and policy development to take 2 years. Although we are doing a co-development process, so it could go a little bit longer, but that is our expectation. And as part of the project, we'll be including some counselor seminars and presentations of draft documents to council. And in terms of public engagement, the goal is the plan is still being worked out, but the goal is to have the website developed by the end of the year where the public can see what work has been done to date and to keep the public informed on progress and where they can get involved. For next steps with this committee, as part of the RFP, the consultant did advise that they could bring the draft plan to Standing Policy Committee and present it once they've done the research portion. So the research portion is tentatively scheduled for end of November of 2025.
And that's when you're saying they could come and present something more substantial in writing.
Yeah, all of they could do a presentation online and talk about what they've learned and what the next steps are and what they've learned from engagement as well.
So that's through all the concepts.
Mhm.
That sounds, yeah, that would be a good point for, so with that, well, yeah, I guess it would be a really good point.
Because right now we don't have anything to date. We just have this one where you guys came up with a verbal report and then there's no direction after that.
Mhm.
Okay, to come back to this committee. Well, I think it's important to kind of have the public know what's coming out of this, especially when it comes to the engagement and research. Who was the company that was awarded the RFP?
It was HTFC Planning and Design.
Right.
And they've also gathered a group of people together to create this plan.
Do they have like an advisory committee that's been developed to help with the engagement, like the stakeholder engagement or anything like that?
They will be, yeah, that is
Okay.
part of their plan. But as we mentioned, they haven't actually figured out all the details, but
Okay.
that is part of their plan, yeah.
I have more questions.
Did you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Counselor Edie.
Got to ask this when you're done. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at other within the city of Winnipeg, other school board, and I helped the Manitoba Indigenous Cultural Education Center obtain some land where they wanted to do some outdoor, call it education, to the ways of Indigenous people. Will that be part of this? Part of looking at the green space in the city?
Yes, definitely. We'll be looking at how green spaces are used, what's lacking right now, what we need to add to our green spaces to create these cultural spaces. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, because when we just look at parks, we don't have this school division kind of Park Lake settings in there, right? So,
Right,
so like a neighborhood that sounds like it may not have anything, technically it has kind of a Park Lake setting on this school divisional law.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll be looking at green spaces citywide, so taking into account what's available to the public. What we have control over versus what we don't have control over will be different, but we will be looking at all publicly available green spaces as well as privately held, because nature doesn't, there's no edge, right? Biodiversity doesn't know property lines, so.
Right?
Yeah.
No, and it's about the health of the city too, right? Your green space, your biodiversity, all that kind of stuff.
That's right. And as Stephanie mentioned, who's also my co-project manager on this, my second brain, as we like to say, we're also, as part of this plan, we'll be looking at partnerships. So school divisions and other agencies will be really important because we want to, how do we improve our city and create the best kind of biodiverse areas we can, natural corridors. We will need partnerships too, and other people to get involved.
I think you touched lightly on the public engagement or stakeholder engagement. Walk me through that again. How is that going to look to the public? I think are you doing some online engagement, some comm strategy and engagement with just certain groups, or is this going to be are you going to be setting up shop in like different locations of the city? Kind of walk me through that a little bit.
We haven't fully worked out our engagement, but the way you described it is the way we currently have it laid out, where it will be online public engagement. We've done a lot of engagement about what's important to people through our Winnipeg, the park strategy, complete communities, and it's really resonated that green space and natural areas are very important. So we're working off that. Instead of asking the same questions, we'll be asking additional questions and what we missed. And part of our strategy will be talking to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities because that specifically hadn't happened before. So we're trying to find the gaps and bring those in as well as through our engagement process. So likely the public engagement will be online. And then we will focus on stakeholder engagements through, yeah.
Good. You hear that? Okay. I don't have any other questions, Councillor Edie. Yeah. Peter, I'm looking to you. We do like to have a report back here. I guess on the engagement, research and consultation that is occurring by HTFC to be back here November of 2025. So if that's the will of this committee, that would be helpful.
Be part of my motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, so the motion will be that the verbal update be received as information and to that public service be directed to provide a report to this committee in November of 2025 outlining the items that you mentioned, Madam Chairperson.
And before you call the question, I just wanted to thank our public servants here for the time they're putting into it because I know they have a lot of other things they're working on. So thanks for your service.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you very
very
much.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's carried unanimously. All right, moving on to item number 7, online recreation service registration system. Looks like we have a few people. Team, Kelly, Jen, and Dawn, right? Dawn? Man. Thank you.
Good morning, councillors. Kelly Lemoyne, Deputy Director for Community Services. And with me is Jennifer Sarna, our Manager of Recreation Services, and Mando, our Manager of Innovation and Technology. So the report today, back to the committee, is the Online Recreation Services Registration System report. This report is for information only. And it is, it's from a disposition by this committee from October 5th, 2023, which was concurred by council on October 26th. That the Standing Policy Committee had some concerns with respect to non-residents registering for leisure guide program activities in advance of Winnipeg residents. So the request was that we report back with an update on the online registration system for leisure guide programming in the city of Winnipeg. So just as a couple of key points and notes about the report itself, the current recreation management system referred to as Active Network, it currently lacks the capability to perform address verification, which was one of the concerns. The vast majority of our registrations occur online, and any measures to perform address verification would include manual proof of identity and address, and significantly slow down the registrations because of the fact that the system doesn't allow for address verification. This current contract with that Active Network expires in November 2026. Currently, the department is undertaking a contract performance evaluation with the expected completion in November of this year to identify operational needs, including the possibility of address verification. A minimum of 2 years will be required once a decision is made to issue a request for proposal, to review the system and establish criteria, or to issue an RFP and complete the evaluation process, as well as the award of contract and implement a new replacement system. What we have been doing as a department in the interim is that we are correcting issues as identified. We already do audits of our recreation system, and we've just expanded those in scopes just to look at the registration system, particularly with non-residents. Jen, is there anything you wish to add?
I think the only thing to add is that if, once we complete the internal review, if there's opportunity for Active Network to address any corrections or solutions in the interim, that would be an opportunity to present.
And we've been working with them on this, if there's any identified gaps or new features or enhancement, right? They continue to work with us to push it up. So you don't have to wait till, we'll continue looking on improving the system.
In improving the system of ActiveNet, will there be added costs to those changes if required?
So there's the two options. Some of the updates they will roll out. And there will be some that maybe require a custom enhancement or just a city of Winnipeg, and they will come back to us with a quote, and then we'll review and we'll get back.
Okay. Is it reasonable to ask, like, do you know how much that would cost?
So that would be.
Are we looking in the thousands?
They can be working with us.
They'll work with you, so we don't really know what those costs would look like if they were to do specialized enhancements to the app, right?
They will provide us a quote.
Okay. Councillor Edie, do you have any questions?
No, that's,
I think this was a motion that came from Councillor Wyatt, right?
yeah, he was concerned about non-residents in our current system.
But now that we charge at 100%, right? That's kind of slightly now changed,
Yeah.
right? Do you have those stats with
Yeah,
you?
I believe we do. See, we can get to the notes first here. Oh, here we go. Since we increased the surcharge to 100%, which was effective the winter 2024 session, the non-resident registrations have decreased to approximately 0.55%. Previously, it was at 4% of all leisure guide registrations, so it's come down significantly.
But they're still applying.
They're still applying, and we do encourage when space available, we do open the registration system up 2 days after residents for non-residents to apply to spots when it's vacant. And we certainly don't want to discourage them from doing. We just want Winnipeg residents to have the first opportunity.
So we pay for service.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. All right. I don't have any other
I'll
questions.
move to receive this report as information and, oh, just one last thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, any final adjustments to make the system work in terms of dealing with this? That's 2 years out, right? All right.
Any final adjustments? Well, we're going to finish the review, the current evaluation, and go back to Active Network, see if they can provide us with some improvements, some changes, some updates. If there is gonna be a cost, we'll get some quotations, so we're looking for a response from them by, I think, spring of next year. That, when we get that response back, then we'll be able to determine whether or not we need to now go out for an RFP, which an RFP, that process will take upwards of a year. And then depending on the success of that, whether it's a new company or the existing one, could take up to a year to implement a changeover recreation management system.
And Dr. the address verification is just one of the requirements, I think the enhancement that we can be working with them. So there will be different identified gaps or opportunities that we can be working with them. So address verification is just one of those.
Anyway, so move this information.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's carried
Thanks for your
unanimously.
work.
On to item number 8, Pan Am Swim Nation Manitoba Agreement, Terms and Conditions.
Good morning, this is Jennifer Sona, Manager of Immigration Services. This is a report back from the May 30th committee with a 120-day report back. While negotiations for a new training tank agreement for the Pan Am pool is going very well, with Swim Manitoba, we do require an additional 90 days to finalize the terms and conditions and bring back to this committee the final document. So this is a request for an extension of up to 90 days to negotiate.
Questions? That sounds good that negotiations are going better. That's good. It's been a while since this agreement was done. Anyway, Madam Speaker, I'll move up to 90 more days for the public service to come back with the final results.
Sounds good. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you. Seeing no new business, nobody in the gallery, we're good to go. So if we can move adjournment, Councillor Edie, for 10:44 a.m.
I'm trying to think if I should introduce new business. No, I'm just kidding. I move adjournment, Madam Chair.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.